during the service, and it's just been a very emotional situation. A lot to discuss, as always, here, so I do want to bring in Ruth Wasserman Lande, a former member of the Israeli parliament and senior fellow at the Misgab Institute for Strategic Affairs. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us, especially here on, as we mentioned, a very emotional day.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on this platform. Thank you.
Of course. And I do want to start by talking about the announcement, so to speak, by the Hamas terror group, as they say they are going to release the bodies of those held hostage, a few of them, now for more than 500 days since the October 7th attack. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, very clearly, this designated terrorist organization, Hamas, making profit off of dead bodies and kidnapped civilians is what it is. I mean, it's a human tragedy. It's not just a Jewish or an Israeli tragedy. It's something which is unthinkable to people who value life, who value freedom, who value equality, who value democracy. This is completely foreign to anybody who has, in fact, any values. And yes, Israel sanctifies life and sanctifies the very holy task of putting to rest even those who had been murdered by our enemies, putting them to rest in graves so that their families can pay their last respects. And therefore, it is paying a very high price of releasing not prisoners, but murderers who had performed terror attacks against civilians. These are not people who are held in some kind of a kidnapping spree by Israel. On the contrary, these are people who had performed heinous acts of terrorism, blown up buses or shopping centers, and had been imprisoned, some of them for life, some of them for more than one lifetime. And they are the ones that are to be released very, very close to Israel's borders, to Gaza, to Judea and Samaria, to East Jerusalem, and so on. It's absolutely surreal, this reality.
And I do want to talk to you a little bit more about what we were showing video-wise there. That was some of the ceremonies, so to speak. Israel very upset about those because you see those hostages as they're being released. They are paraded through Gaza. You can see large crowds that are there to watch them, including children. What message is the Hamas terror group trying to send there?
Again, we are seeing something which is almost inconceivable to a Western mind, and that is the indoctrination and the incitement by a very, very cruel terrorist organization to people in general, to the population. And this is a population that had been indoctrinated and incited for almost 20 years since the removal of the IDF from the Gaza Strip, the withdrawal, the actual unilateral withdrawal of the IDF from the Gaza Strip, the schools, the curricula, the educational system, the media, the messaging, the social media, everything speaks out indoctrination and incitement, and it comes to be that children, little children, are given arms and they are shown, what are they shown? They are shown dead, murdered Jewish babies paraded in coffins and released hostages, civilians that are being paraded in a theatrical, heinous theatrical manner in front of these civilians to teach them that what? Death is sanctified, that killing and murdering and carnaging and burning Jews and people who are not of their own is something sacred. This is almost incomprehensible to a Western mind, and it's not something that is only against Israel and the Jewish people. This is something that is against any non-believer. In the Hamas's eyes, Christians, Jews, and anybody who is not Muslim of their kind. And this is the dangerous issue.
And I want to pop up this video. We showed it a bit earlier. This is from moments ago, as you saw Israelis lining the streets there to honor the Bibas family who were killed in captivity. That includes Kafir, who is the youngest hostage held, I believe, taken at just 7 months old. My question for you, what does it say to you when you see everyone kind of coming together at this moment to mourn this family and show support?
You know, this is a very, very difficult day for Israelis and Jews, and I dare say for the entire humanity. We are talking about laying to rest babies who were kidnapped. Who ever heard of babies who were kidnapped? This is absolute insanity. There's no precedent of this thing in modern day international arena. And the people of Israel have been hurting for so long, since October 7th. But today is almost epitomizing this pain in a very tangible manner, trying to really unite, to stand together despite political differences, and to really try, even though it's almost humanly impossible, to embrace the father who was also kidnapped and held captive in chains, in tunnels, in Gaza by the Hamas, only to return and to learn that his wife, mother of his 2 babies, were killed. I cannot even begin to portray the pain of the Jewish people, of the Israelis, and of humanity that must scream out against this Machiavellian evil.
And I do want to ask you something else here. This is a bit more involved, but this is a developing story that we're actually covering really at this hour here, as a nurse over in Sydney, Australia, has been charged with making threats after she appeared in this online video here saying that she would not treat Israeli patients. The Associated Press reporting that Sarah Abu Lebde has been arrested weeks after the viral video was released. It was about 2 weeks ago. The 26-year-old, who is already fired from her job, charged with the federal offenses of threatening violence to a group, using a carriage service to threaten to kill, and using a carriage service to menace and harass. That is according to police. Now, she is out on bail, expected in a Sydney courtroom back on March 19th, and the charges carry a potential maximum penalty of 22 years in prison. She and a male nurse, who you see there on the left-hand side of your screen, were actually suspended from the hospital back on the 12th over an online exchange the night before with an Israeli influencer. She says she will not treat Israeli patients in the video, while the male nurse does suggest that he had killed Israelis. I did actually speak with that influencer, Max, who gave Live Now permission to air the conversation. It's about 2 minutes in length, so I do want to play it here right now.
I'm from Israel, from the Holy Land.
You know what? I'm gonna be really honest with you.
All right.
I'm gonna be really honest with you. You actually got a really, really beautiful eyes.
Thank you,
but
man.
I'm so upset that you're Israeli. Like, eventually you're gonna get killed and you're gonna go to Jahannam, inshallah. Like these pretty eyes, they should stay in this world for longer.
Why do you think? Why do you think I'm gonna get killed?
Because inshallah one day God will.
Maybe because I served in the IDF. That's why?
That's definitely the answer, correct?
That's the reason, because I served in the IDF. What's the problem with that? What's the issue with that?
Because you killed innocent people, that's why.
Killed? I was protecting my country.
So you kill innocent people to protect your country. What kind of soul do you have? You have no soul.
In a war, people die, as you know.
No.
They started the war.
Not 1200.
Who started?
57.
It's okay. Your time will come.
Who started this war?
I hope you guys.
Who elected Hamas? Who elected Hamas?
It's Palestine's country, not your country, you piece
How
of
are you? What's your name?
No, none of you.
We're talking politely here. We're talking politely here.
One day, your time will come and you will die the most horrible
You
death.
sprayed hate, we sprayed positivity, we spread protection, we spread peace.
Listen to me.
And you spread
when your
death.
time comes.
How are you doctors? Wait.
I want you to remember my face.
Okay,
so
okay.
You can understand
Gotcha.
That you will
I have
die
a question
the most
though.
disgusting death.
All right, for sure. I have a question though.
Yeah,
I have a question. Let's say an Israeli, God forbid.
I won't treat them. I'll kill them.
You'll kill them? So if an Israeli is in Australia and God forbid something happened to him and he comes to your hospital,
I hope to God.
Would you kill him?
Okay, you have no idea how many Israeli Khara dog came to this hospital and I sent it to Jahannam.
For real?
All right, that was a video there provided by Max, who is the Israeli influencer. And you heard that conversation there. That was on kind of a random chat website where you go on there and you're kind of paired with people that you don't know and you have conversations. Max did record that and he posted it online, the video going viral. Again, we know that the female nurse has been charged. The male nurse apparently has not been spoken to by investigators just yet. It's possible there could be charges as well. That is according to authorities. So, Ruth, I want to get your take on the video and what message those charges against the female nurse do send.
First of all, I would like to salute the authorities that have charged the nurse and have taken this very seriously. And the reason is very simple. It starts with the Jews and the Israelis, but it never ends with the Jews or the Israelis. Crimes against humanity and not wanting to treat people when they're sick, even though you are nurses or doctors who are meant to treat everyone equally and to save lives, actually saying that you threaten the lives and you would take actions to do something to take away the lives of people, any people, including Muslims, including people who are not my people. There is no question about our doctors, Jewish doctors, Israeli doctors, taking care of anybody who needs help. In fact, there have been so many people from Gaza that have been brought to Israel for medical care, people who have been brought in from Lebanon, from Syria, the civil war. Even some of them were jihadis. And people in Israel and doctors treated them because this is the human way to treat people and to act. What we have heard is inhumane, and this is the product of one, indoctrination and incitement, the politicization of radical Islam. It is being spread by actors like Qatar, like Turkey's Erdogan on the Sunni radical side, and by the Shiite-led axis headed by the Islamic Republic of Iran on the other side. All of them aim for one dramatic objective, and that is creating a worldwide caliphate based on Sharia. This is bombarded into the young people's minds. They are being absolutely incited, indoctrinated, taught to hate, not to love, not to treat equally, not to forward the values that normal people forward, because we live on the same globe. On the contrary, and that is the product thereof that we hear. It's not one incident. We hear this against Europeans when the demonstrations march there in Paris and in Germany, against the Germans, against the Parisians and the French, against the English people in the UK, not against Jews and Israelis only. We see this in American universities, the infiltration into American schools, buying of soccer fields and soccer groups, the buying of think tanks. This infiltration is very systematic. It's paid for, it's systematic over time in order to spray people's minds with these kinds of non-values. And this is the danger. That's why the actions of the authorities against these nurses are so important, because real normal society cannot accept something like this.
Ruth, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here and help discuss all of this. Again, a lot of developing stories there, as always, coming in out of the Middle East. So thank you again for taking the time to join live now from Fox. We appreciate it.
Thank you.